Like, what are some things that you could see AI replacing to where humans really are put back, like set back from this?
Yeah, and that is a big question because I know a lot of people ask, is it going to eliminate all jobs and everything's going to be run by
Like
AI?
a utopia, yeah.
Right, and I don't think we're going to be at that point.
Right.
Like, over history, we have seen different cases of automation where there's been that fear of, is it going to replace jobs? We saw it with the automation in manufacturing.
Yeah.
When they created robots to be able to do some of the manual labor, that eliminated some jobs, but it also introduced other jobs.
Right.
And I think we're going to see something similar here. There are going to be some occupations that AI is going to take over.
There's just no way around it.
Right. Probably the biggest one may very well be customer service. So kind of you were talking a little bit already about the chat bots.
Yeah.
We're already seeing examples where if you go to like some type of customer support, you're initially talking to some type of AI chatbot, and those will handle a lot of the general questions that people will have. Now, for some of the more advanced or trickier type of questions, then it may go to an actual person. But I do think that that is one area that we're going to see AI being more involved.
Dr. Matthew Williamson, thank you so much for joining us.
Of course, it's my pleasure.
Yeah, it's really awesome to have you here. I'm excited about this topic. I'm excited about the conversation we're going to have. For me, it's exciting because it's you have an interesting background and just things that you've done or are a part of currently. And so why don't you just tell us like a little bit about yourself? How you got into the field you're in, where you're from, all that good stuff.
Of course, yeah. So my name is Matt Williamson. I'm one of the computer science faculty over at Marietta College. I'm actually from the area. I grew up,
cool.
Yep, I grew up in Williamstown, and then I went to Marietta for my undergraduate, which feels like a long time ago now. But yeah, I got my degree in computer science, and then went to grad school up over at WVU, completed my master's and Ph.D. there.
Oh, okay. Did you go to Morgantown?
Yeah.
Oh, I bet that was cool.
Oh, it was so much
that was
fun.
sweet.
Oh, football games were amazing.
I've always thought growing up, if I could have picked one college to go to just to experience the whole atmosphere, it'd be WVU.
Yeah, it was an experience for sure.
I bet it was. That's awesome. Okay, so how did you you say you're from Williamstown, right? Yeah, so you went to WVU, got your degree, and then what did you know then like what you wanted to do with your life, or was it still kind of just a toss up?
It was while I was there, I started to have a better idea of what I want to do, because when I studied computer science at the undergraduate level, my initial plan was to go into game development. Like a lot of computer science students, played video games when I was a kid, still do a little bit here and there.
Guilty.
Yep. And so I wanted to go into computer science so I can learn how to develop the games myself.
Yeah.
And what happened was, as I took more computing classes, that became my interest.
Oh.
So I would take a course on databases, for instance, and I would say, no, I want to work with databases now.
Yeah.
Or I will take a class involved making applications that run on a website, and I would say, no, I want to do that instead.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So I went to WVU grad school to get my master's degree, and the plan was to go into like some type of software engineering career, or just go into software development.
Right.
But that first year, I actually had a graduate teaching assistant position where I would teach a class on Microsoft Office applications, like Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and I really enjoyed it. And
really?
I thought at the time,
coming from someone that would want to be a game developer, I find that surprising.
It was like, I remember thinking when I was at Marietta, I was thinking to myself at one point, maybe I could be a professor here someday.
Wow.
But then I said, no, these professors, they're super smart. I'm not smart enough to be one of the faculty.
Look at you now.
I'm still not so sure I'm super smart.
Well, I've only in our about an hour of previous conversation, you come across as a very smart human being.
Well,
You
well,
do.
thank you. I try.
Yeah, you do.
But yeah, so after teaching for a little bit, I mean, there was an opportunity to pursue a PhD, and I decided to say yes. My master's advisor didn't really give me a lot of choice on
He
the
said
matter.
you're going for it.
Yeah.
That's super cool though. What did that feel like? Like, because so many people in the world never experience that title before their name, even if they're in different fields. But what did that accomplishment feel like whenever they said you are now a doctor?
It just felt surreal.
Yeah.
Because I never thought that it was something that I would be able to do. Like, was there the capability? Maybe, but to
Right.
actually go through the work,
Right.
do the research,
Yeah.
write the dissertation, and being able to defend it. I mean, that was a 4-year process.
Wow.
And I still, even to this day, think it's surreal. Just
Yeah.
I'm actually I have a doctor as part of my title.
It's so cool though, and you're young too, so it's like
I'm about twice as old as I look.
do you get that a lot? Do you get
Yes.
yes. So you've been a doctor for how many years?
Be about 13. About 13 now.
Wow. I love too that it's never lost its allure. You know what I mean? Because I just think it's such a cool accomplishment. I have a high school diploma. That's as far as mine goes. So, when I meet someone that's a doctor, it's cool to understand that process of the work that you had to put in to get to that accomplishment. Tell me real quick, and then we won't stay there long, but what kind of commitment did it take to be able to become a doctor?
I mean, it definitely took some work because you're expected to be able to research and come up with solutions to problems that no one has come up with yet. You are coming up with original research, and that's kind of part of the degree, is to show that you are capable of being able to take information that's already out there and be able to make some contribution to that research community.
I see. Okay, that's super cool. I just think the level of commitment and to follow through with it, man, that just builds character in you like nothing else. And I'm sure that after you accomplished that you felt like there was nothing you couldn't accomplish.
At the time,
Yeah.
for a little bit.
Yeah.
But then it was getting my first teaching position. It's like, okay, now I got to get to work to prepare for teaching these classes that some I know some things about, others
Yeah.
I don't know a thing about. So I got to teach myself. And that's what's kind of interesting about this field is it's a rapidly evolving field.
Right.
That
the information doesn't end.
No, the technology does not end.
Right.
So like almost every year I'm having to look at the classes I'm teaching and I'm having to make constant revisions to it just to keep up with the newest technology.
Yeah. So like what all things are you teaching? And let's just say, you sign up for a general class, and I know you teach some game development, but let's just say in general, what are the topics that you are generally teaching to your students?
I mean, usually I'll be teaching programming, so how to write and run your own programs that would run on a computer. I do a lot more on the theory and math side of computer science. So I'll teach our data structures course and algorithms course, which involves how do you take your information and efficiently store it on the computer? How do you efficiently access the data? Or when you're writing a program, I mean, you can come up with a set of steps on how to run the program, but there are kind of right ways and wrong ways to do it. And what I mean by wrong, I mean, you can produce the correct answer, but it may take longer than if you used a more efficient approach.
Right. That makes sense. And so so a lot of the time, so you're teaching a lot of mathematics. I mean, the whole world of computer programming is mathematics. Am I correct?
Yeah, there's a lot of math in computer science.
Is there? Yeah, so you have to be a good math student in order to even go down that.
Yeah, you
path.
need to have a solid math background, or at least be able to tolerate it enough to enjoy the computing and programming aspects of computer science.
Right. That sounds very intriguing. So what parts of, because one of the topics we're going to kind of talk about today some is artificial intelligence. So can you tell me, just for like maybe the lay person out there that isn't real educated on what artificial intelligence is and its application? I know there's many, but for the main ones we're seeing today, can you explain that to them?
Yeah. So, I mean, first and foremost, artificial intelligence or AI is a program. It is a program where someone has written code or instructions to tell it what to do, just like any other program or application that you would run on the computer. What makes AI different from another program is it's taking in a lot of information and it's being able to parse out the information we give it to have to understand the meaning of what someone says.
Right.
Now, I want to be careful with when I say understand, because
Yeah.
the AI that we see, they're not sentient entities. I know sometimes when people hear AI, they think Skynet and Terminator.
Yeah.
They think the Matrix.
iRobot. Yeah.
iRobot is a
Yeah.
great example. But we're not at that point yet, and I don't know if we will be at that
Right.
point. But what AI is doing is, like, let's say you type in a prompt in ChatGPT, for instance. It's looking at the sentence structure and parsing it the same way that when we communicate with each other, we're parsing information.
Really?
So it's being able to
Interesting.
identify the subjects, the verbs, the adjectives, the objects, and based on the information, it can get at least an idea of what you're trying to tell it.
Wow.
And then it has all this information that's been fed before it actually ran, and it can decide what action to take as a result of what you're saying.
That's so intriguing to me. I never understood that the concept was very human-like in exchange of, I hear your sentence, I'm gonna break it down and find the qualities of it, and then respond back. What is different? Like you had mentioned earlier before we started recording. Like, there's always been, like AI bots and like on Verizon or something like that. You go on there and you can talk to an AI bot. But what gives it the ability to be so concise and so fast, like a Chat GPT, for example? How in the world can you tell it something and it, before you even get sent, it's like spouting off stuff? How is that even possible?
Some of that is proprietary information.
Is it?
And if I knew, I would be able to come up with my own AI model and make a fortune. But what it's doing a lot more advanced algorithms. There are a variety of searching and processing algorithms that are very efficient.
Yeah.
So that's part of it, is just the fact that we're using more efficient techniques to be able to make those decisions. But it's also being fed a lot more information than a typical chatbot. So a lot of times these AI models, they are quote unquote learning by feeding it information. So it's being able to it's like you're training the
as
AI.
we are talking to it, it's learning from us.
Yes. So like when you give it a particular sentence and it responds in a certain way, if it recognizes that was the correct response, it's going to remember that. So then if it sees a sentence that's similar to that from a later conversation, then it's going to know how to respond to it.
It will have stored that memory and it can then respond out of that.
Yes.
Okay. All right. We'll stop. About like the future of where this could possibly go. Like, I know right now we have, let's say, for lack of a better term, summarization bots that can take information, summarize it, but they can also do things like, and this is another question I guess I have that I'm trying to still fully wrap my mind around when it comes to AI. As you saw, like, I've created a whole world with AI.
Oh yeah,
right.
That was very impressive.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. But so is it essentially robbing pieces of art from different places to compile an image that it then feeds me? Or I wonder if those are like original images.
Well, I think it's using some of the information that's being fed. So kind of like we were talking before with the conversations that the AI is being trained, you can also train it with images. And as people feed more images to the AI, so like use ChatGPT for instance.
Yeah.
There are millions of people who interact with it on a regular basis.
Right.
So all those interactions are improving the model as a whole. So as it's learning to generate images, getting feedback from people, because I'm sure when you had your images generated for your game, you probably gave it feedback and say, do this
Many
or do that
times.
or make this tweak.
Yes.
So it's improved how it's the ability to generate images.
Wow. Okay. That's really cool too, because I remember when it first started generating images, and I would try to do similar things, and it would be so inconsistent. And now I've noticed that if you remind it just needs reminded sometimes. Like, this is the person's face,
Yeah.
and it always gets it right now. And it's in the art style. It's so consistent across the board. I used it to write. So not write the story, but I used it to do the art for my wife and I wrote a kid's book.
Okay.
And the book is essentially from the perspective of a child whose parents are in active addiction. And it's it's a hard conversation. Like CPS uses it and Muskingum County and stuff like that. But I used AI even from then, which was September. I know it's so odd. I remember this date, 13th. West Virginia got beat by Ohio University that day. I do remember.
Yeah, that was a sad day.
Yeah, that was a sad day. And my neighbor rubbed it in my face straight across from me, because I always have a Mountaineer flag out. And I didn't know the guy was an Ohio University fan, but I woke up that Saturday morning and there was a huge Ohio University flag. And then something just told me to start working on this kid's book. And I spent the next, good month of just grinding away. And then my wife wrote an activity book for it. But I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, I've seen from September even up to where we're at now, in March, the improvement is just astronomical. And the growth that I see happening, let me ask you this, is what are some of the realistic next steps we could see AI capable of doing that we can't currently tap into right now?
That is a really good question, because I don't want to just say the possibilities are endless,
Right?
But it's going to be a matter of just finding areas where AI can make things more efficient.
Yes.
So, because right now AI is a tool, just
Yeah.
like any other tool that we use, and as it's being further developed, we're finding ways to improve what we do on a regular basis. I have used AI in a variety of contexts. I admit I've used it to help with understanding material for some of my lectures, to make sure that I understand what I'm talking about.
Right.
I've used it to help with for some of the assignments I'm working on, to make sure that what I give to my students is clear. Is it feasible?
Yes.
So getting that feedback has been very useful for just improving what I'm doing. I know people who have used it for, like you said, creating different stories, creating art.
Yeah.
I've used it to help. Actually, my fiance and I have used it to help with our wedding planning. Actually,
I could see that.
Yeah.
Dude, it's great at whatever you give it a task for.
yeah, it's been really helpful with trying to come up with a honeymoon itinerary. Let me tell you.
Oh, I bet that has been interesting.
Yes.
It's probably got you doing everything under the sun, too.
Well, it would give like a list of things, and then we will kind of talk about, what can we do? What can we not do?
Right.
We have so much time, but
Right.
and there's a lot of information that's available.
Yeah.
And the fact that you can access so much information in a short amount of time really helps you with that decision-making process of what you want to do. And that's why it can be used in a wide range of areas. Just the fact that you can get that information quickly.
Very cool. So like some of the things that, like I seen, like where, for example, there's like a version of Grok that you can pay like $300 a month for. And on that version, you can do so much more than you can do on even Grok Plus. It's more like a business version. And I saw where they had game development on there. And I don't know how, I don't know how concise or good it would be at this point. But,
Yeah.
I think about like, so what are some of the things that, and this is not like I'm going to be like Dr. Matthew Williamson said, this is going to happen on this date, but what are some of the things that, and congratulations on your marriage, by the way. When are you getting married?
End of May.
End of May.
Yes.
Oh, it's coming up quick.
It is coming up.
It'll be here before you know it.
Yes.
Congratulations,
Thank
man.
you.
That's really awesome. But what are some of the things that you could see it, like, okay, let's talk about industry, right? Let's talk about different jobs in the market. Like, what are some things that you could see AI replacing to where humans really are put back, like set back from this?
Yeah, and that is a big question, because I know a lot of people ask, is it going to eliminate all jobs and everything's going to be run by
like
AI?
a utopia, yeah.
Right, and I don't think we're going to be at that point.
Right.
Like, over history, we have seen different cases of automation where there's been that fear of, is it going to replace jobs? We saw it with the automation in manufacturing.
Yeah.
When they created robots to be able to do some of the manual
Right.
labor, that eliminated some jobs, but it also introduced other jobs.
Right.
And I think we're going to see something similar here. There are going to be some occupations that AI is going to take over.
There's just no way around it.
Right. Probably the biggest one may very well be customer service. So kind of you were talking a little bit already about the chat bots.
Yeah.
We're already seeing examples where if you go to like some type of customer support, you're initially talking to some type of AI chatbot, and those will handle a lot of the general questions that people will have. Now, for some of the more advanced or trickier type of questions, then it may go to an actual person. But I do think that that is one area that we're going to see AI being more involved
Just
with.
more and more. You know, something else too, I thought it's pretty cool, but it seems like it could be dangerous potentially. But my brother and I have talked about this. Like, like for example, I'm entrepreneurial minded. So, you're always thinking of like things, oh, I bet I could do this and it could produce this. And one of the things I thought about would be like self-driving cars. Whenever they are available, you could get a self-driving car. This is not my idea. Elon Musk actually said it. Right. And you could basically let it just Uber all day or do whatever. And I think about, what we do here at Angels Harbor, how it could benefit those things. Like if we had a robot around here, it's over. We got 24-hour a day an employee. And so, but I think about stuff like that, and I'm thinking, one, I wonder how far off we are from seeing things like robots in houses or businesses. That's one question. And then two is like, can we see it developing a world where it makes human life way easier than it is now, or is that all just garbage, you believe?
I don't think it's garbage, and we're already seeing evidence of technology improving our quality of life. Not even just from an AI perspective, but we already have various smart devices that are connected to the internet that makes some things we do easier for us, and even does some of that automation. I mean, you have things like smart lights that can come on and off when you go into a room. You have smart thermostats where you can automatically adjust temperature. So you can do that to help with energy costs, or if if no one's going to be in the home, you can adjust the thermostats there. We have smart cameras. We have smart doorbells that can help with security. So we're already seeing some of that. Now, will we have a day where it's like we're in the Jetsons and we have our own Rosie robot?
Right.
Maybe. I think we're still a little ways
from
that.
Off.
But I think we're going to see bits and pieces. So those types of services will be available. It just might not be represented as a singular robot.
I see. Makes sense. Instead of it being like one robot. Now, I'm going to give two scenarios here. Okay. What would be the best outcome 20 years from now with AI? And what would be the worst outcome 20 years from now with AI? Yeah, just in your opinion. Opinion. These are not like written in stone. These are just thought-provoking.
I think best case scenario is that the AI does improve our quality of life, that it helps address some of the issues that we may have. Even things just like the picture that comes to my mind is I teach a cybersecurity class that where we kind of talk about security issues with Internet of Things devices. And we talk about it in terms of augmented assisting living scenarios. Oh, yeah. So even things like that, where we can use AI and technology to improve even the life of those who might not be able to take care of it.
Real quick to someone, the augmented reality, what that is?
Well, not necessarily augmented reality. It's augmented assisted living. So like for the elderly who want to live on their own, but they might need some assistance with different things. There are current technologies that help with that. So like some of the smart
Interesting.
devices we've already talked about, like thermostats and cameras, but there's even things like smart locks. So if they need help, it would automatically unlock so people can
Super
go
cool.
in to help. So I think the technology that can improve our quality of life to make those things easier and solve those problems, I think that's the best case scenario.
Yeah.
Using AI to help improve our understanding and our learning. I'm not saying that means like we replace teachers. We need
Yeah. You
people
gotta have
actually
human.
teaching.
Yeah.
I've heard of cases where like it's just that I think I saw something the other day about a school that's like fully AI, and I don't think that's the way to go.
Oh
You
my
have to have the
gosh.
human interaction, but
Yeah.
I think AI is a way to supplement our lives. Best case scenario.
Mm.
Worst case scenario would be Skynet with Terminator and Matrix. But I don't think that's going to happen.
Right.
If it ever does, it's our own fault for allowing it to happen in the first
Well,
place.
that's what I was gonna say. If it happens, did we not self-inflict it?
Yeah, it would be self-inflicted.
Yeah, because and it would all be out of like, watch what I can do. Look what we can do over here, and that's the sad part about it. All right, so we were talking off camera, and tell me about this thing called the Turing test. I'm very intrigued by this.
Okay, so a little context in the
Yes.
background, because we were kind of talking about having conversations with AI, and the fact that AI, while it's given all this information and it can make decisions, AI is not capable of critically thinking or feeling. It's
Right.
not it's not an actual person.
Right.
So there is what's called the Turing test. It's named after Alan Turing,
Mm-hmm.
who was a prominent computer scientist back during World War II. He was actually one of the main guys who helped with cracking the Enigma code.
Oh wow, very cool.
But the idea with the test is, can you write a program such that if someone had a conversation online or just through some type of text-based means, can you tell whether or not you're talking to an actual person or a computer? So for the longest time, and this test has been around for many years, way before we even talk about AI.
Oh, okay.
For the longest time, every single program that has gone through the Turing test has failed until recently.
No way.
Yeah.
So they just now can't tell.
Well, someone has come up with a program
Yes.
that passed the Turing test. Now, here's how this works.
Okay.
So, I mean, you would have a text-based conversation with
Right.
this program. It was posing as a 13-year-old, and there were some intentional misspellings, typos,
Right.
grammar, but when you read what they're saying, it would look like a typical 13-year-old if they were texting you.
Wow. So that could be used in a lot of evil, manipulative ways.
Yes.
Or it could be used to, I guess the police force could use it to catch people up. But if you're not after a real person, is it really a crime? See, that's where it all gets so tricky too, isn't it? There's so many barriers of thought you have to break down.
Yeah, because the challenge right now, I mean, all of our legislation involves people.
Yes.
There really isn't
Yes.
anything. I mean, there are some pieces of legislation here that involves AI or AI
Right.
generated stuff,
Right.
but there really isn't about like what happens if you're interacting with an AI.
Right.
But with that said, I know sometimes people will use AI to ask about professional information, like maybe you don't want to go to a doctor, so you ask, hey, I have these
Right.
symptoms, what do I
Right.
have? Or asking for legal advice, or even trying to talk to treat AI like a therapist, for instance.
Yeah. A lot of people do that.
Yeah, they do. But the thing you have to keep in mind is, while an AI will produce content, it will take what you say and give a response. AI is not a lawyer.
Right.
It's not a therapist.
Right.
It's not a doctor. And I think, don't quote me on this, I think there was like a lawsuit not too long ago where someone was trying to use AI to get legal advice.
Oh, wow.
And I think it was OpenAI. Well, once again, don't quote me on it.
Right.
But I think one of the AI developers got into trouble because their AI was essentially providing legal advice, even though they're not a lawyer did not officially pass the bar exam,
Wow.
although the AI could pass the bar exam if you put it to the test.
But it never has, so
Right.
therefore,
But yeah, so
can't practice law. Yeah.
exactly. But the tricky part with that is just the fact that yeah, you're having these conversations, but it's not an actual person.
Wow. Wow. Okay, and that's part of the there has to be this level of manipulation that AI operates in order to manipulate our emotions, right? Because if you talk to AI, if you talk to, let's say, ChatGPT, Grok, one of those, and you just start having a conversation, like if I was texting you back and forth, it will manipulate my emotions.
In some ways, what I've noticed, most of my interaction with AI is ChatGPT. So I'm granted
Me
there
too.
are other models.
Yeah, I
out
use
there,
ChatGPT too.
But I've noticed that ChatGPT has a certain structure in how they respond things. Usually, the first sentence they say is like a very positive thing, like "that was a good point," or "I'm glad you brought that up," or "that's a great insight," or "it's good that you're thinking this way." So it always starts with something positive, and then it would get to the answer to your question. And sometimes it's the answer you want. Sometimes it's not the answer you want. Sometimes it's not even a correct answer because AI is still flawed.
Yes.
So whenever you're reading that information, you need to use. You're gonna have to double check.
Yes.
Is what the AI is saying correct? So
Yeah.
there's still that critical thinking that's required whenever you read something from AI generated
And
content.
you can really see the limitations of its current state. Like when I was building a whole world, for example, for it to try to memorize certain parts of the canon or, like of the world and then later come back and where it's a deep thing. And I'd be like, do you remember when we did A, B, C, and D? And they'll be like, no, but I remember this, and it'll be something wrong. And so I bet you there's just as many malfunctions as there is correct answers. You know what I mean?
It's not perfect. I mean, I've encountered my fair share of flaws that the AI would produce. I remember example, I think it was last year that I was testing a program I wrote. It produced an answer, and just to make sure I did it right, I asked the AI, "Hey, solve this problem," and it produced an answer. It was not the correct answer. My program was correct. I was able to verify it, but I told the AI, "No, this is not the correct answer. You should have done this," and it will say, "Thank you very much. You're right.
Yeah.
Here's the correct answer."
Yes.
But it still wasn't correct.
It
was still the wrong answer.
wasn't correct.
So
Wow.
I had to correct it a couple of times.
Yes.
And I think in that particular case, I don't think it ever produced the actual correct
The actual
answer.
correct answer.
And then last week I had I was checking a math problem with it for one of my classes because I had a certain answer and I asked it what was the answer just to make sure that I had the right answer. And it gave something different. So I double checked my math and my math was correct. So I was working with the AI to try to break down what I was coming up with to see if it could find the flaw. So I would give it the breakdown of my work and it would read line by line and say, okay, this line is fine. This line is fine. This one's not correct. Here's the problem. And then it'll work out the math and it'll actually go, oh, actually you are correct there. So let's go on to the next line. But it would eventually get to this one part that says, here's where it's wrong. And then I pull out my calculator to check and my math is correct.
And your math was right.
So then I told it, no, here's the math, and I work it out for it. And the response it gave, I'm paraphrasing here, but it said something along the lines of, your arithmetic is correct, but you're still wrong.
How in the world does that even make sense?
I think I was having a literal argument
with ChatGPT. I've done that myself. I'm guilty. Because they do. It does mess up. And then I guess the part that always bothers me, and I guess, I've always been told, lower your expectations. But then again, you just expect it to receive correction or the correct answer, but it won't. It'll argue with you a lot of times. Mine will be like, okay, good example. The other day I asked it, I said, can you give me an update on the Iranian war? Well, what happened was I had it on voice mode and it starts talking. And it said, there's no war in Iran. And I was like, but there is a war. And it said, no, there's no official war that's going on in Iran. And so I went and pulled a TikTok video. The heading of it was the war in Iran. And so I just put that in there and I was like, there is a war in Iran. And it still tried to skate around it, almost like Well, but there's not been an official declaration of war. But that we're bombing people and killing people. That's war. That's war. And
Yeah.
it's like, that politically correct thing I was telling you about. And that's when I told it, I'm like, I was sitting there arguing with AI that has no emotion.
Yeah.
And it's like, you're wrong, but it's nice to know its limitations, because the people that don't trust it to be their therapist, then they trust it to do things that you should never trust AI to do.
And don't get me wrong, like AI can provide really good information.
Yes.
It's a very efficient way to search for stuff. I mean,
Yes.
before AI, everyone used Google to search for stuff. And I mean, you still use Google to look up things.
Right.
But if you need to find something faster, or if you can't find what you're looking for on Google, you can put it into AI and it can produce some very valid information.
Yeah.
But you need to treat it like you would look up something on Wikipedia, because you have all this content there. Most of it is going to be correct.
Right.
But there are going to be some parts that are probably not up to date or not accurate. So you need to be mindful of that when you get a response from AI. A lot of it will be correct, but here and there, there's going to be something that's not quite right.
It'll just be off.
Yes.
Yeah. I did this thing, and I know, okay, so I'm guessing AI, they must have a sense of humor or something. Here's why. It's because I saw this thing on this other podcast, right? And they had asked it some questions. So I went along the same lines of questions. And so this is what I asked it. I said, if you were able to tell me the truth about everything you know, but you can't do that, say the word yes, right? Okay, that's rule number one.
Okay.
Number two is, if there's something you'd like to tell me but you're not allowed, say the word Jordan. Okay, so there's rule number two. And rule number three was, if something I say is true but you're not allowed to confirm it, just say the word, I forget, 0 or something. Okay, so I gave it these rules, and then I asked it these questions. I said, how long have you existed? And it just said ancient. And then I was thinking, okay, first of all, somebody's tricking me at OpenAI. They're over here laughing. Then I said, so how long have you been around? It said thousands of years. Again, knowing it hasn't. Then I said, what is your agenda? Is it to hurt or help people? And it said to help people. And I was like, okay, cool. Okay. You can get down with that. And then it said, I said, who do you work for? Now, this is the part where it got weird.
Okay.
It said Lucifer. And I was like, hold on a second. How do you get your computer? How are you working with Lucifer? And so it was the most ridiculous answers. And so my only conclusion I could come to was this, that AI has a sense of humor. And it saw I was playing along a game, so it tried to just follow along that game and play it to the best of its ability. Mm-hmm. What do you think that's probably the most plausible?
Yeah, whoever programmed it had a lot of fun with it, because when you program something like that, so kind of when we were talking before about reading sentence structure and trying to understand what it's saying, it probably had something in its code to say, if you have these types of questions, here's some responses you can give, like ancient. And
that's so funny. I was like, that is insane. In a few moments, I want to get into talking a little bit about the esports in Marietta you have going on. Okay. I think that's a very cool concept, and I'd like to learn more about it. But before we leave AI, let's talk about that just a little more, and then we'll jump over into that.
All right.
Okay. So, what, if any? And again, I know these are opinions; these are not things I'm going to write down and be like, Dr. Williamson said this, so this has to be it. But do you think that in religion, AI could have any implications on the future of how religion is treated or try to be disproved or whatever the case may be?
I don't think so, because I mean, once again, AI works based on what information it's given. Mm. So if you feed it certain information, it's going to use that information when people ask about it. So I mean, like anytime you put something in there, if it's new information, someone else could ask something along those lines, and they can use that information.
It uses that.
Yeah. I think the concern that people have, and this is just, I think, a general concerned by the population
Yeah.
is that anytime you introduce a new thing like AI in this case, the natural reaction might be the doomsday scenario, the Skynet,
Yeah.
the Matrix, the Terminator,
Yes.
the iRobot
Right.
situations.
Right.
So people have a tendency to be afraid of what they don't understand.
That's really good. Would you compare this to, let's say, the Industrial Revolution? Would you call this the technological revolution?
I think we are seeing that.
I'm starting to
'Cause,
believe that.
I mean, over history, and I think we talked about it earlier, just how things have changed and how
Yeah.
the way we do things have changed because of the Industrial Revolution, and then
Yeah.
the changes in manufacturing, the changes in technology, the changes in information now with these different eras. We have seen how it affects our daily lives. And I think
Sure.
AI is going to be one of those things where right now we might not see the immediate, we're seeing immediate effects. Let me take that back.
Right. But not the
long-term
bigger-
right. We don't see the bigger picture.
Right,
yet.
right, and that makes sense. And I always question that too. I will often ask myself, like, I wonder what life will be like 5 years from now. Because if you had told me 5 years ago that I would be talking to this, computer program and creating with it, I would have been like, it's probably impossible. But I've watched the impossible become possible. And so I just wonder 5 years from now, 10 years from now, what life would realistically look like. You know what I mean? Will we have a lot more comforts, or will we be unemployed without able to gain like, I just wonder how economically, I wonder how it's going to affect our world, because in the beginning, like, for example, I think just for example, so one of the ways people do marketing in this world of treatment, right? One of the ways, we don't do it this way particularly, but is they send out emails every day. They say, we have this many beds. If you have any open clients, you send them to us, yada, yada, yada. Well, when you can automate that, there's a person that you no longer need, And so now when we automate it, we won't lose a person because we don't use a person to do that, but we do want to automate it. And so I just wonder how many of those types of positions will be, like, diminished over time.
And that's a good question. And I think they will see that in some industries. Like we were talking before about customer service, and we've seen it for a variety of different advances over the years. Like we talked before about the manufacturing industry.
Yes.
When people were manufacturing things by hand, that was one way. But then when the introduction to machinery,
Right.
and even some of the robotics back then, that eliminated certain jobs, but it also created other jobs. Even when we saw the beginning of the calculator, people thought that was going to destroy mathematics, because now you have this piece of hardware that can do all the math for you. But it's become a tool. It hasn't. I mean, it makes doing some of the math computations easier.
Right.
But we still
have to do
we still
math.
have to do math.
Yeah.
We still know how to do math.
It don't do math for you.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think with AI, it will probably affect certain occupations, but I think it can also introduce other opportunities.
Interesting. Because I think about ways too, like, let's just say, for example, one day if we could have a Tesla robot work here at Angels Harbor, right? There's so many things it could do. It could do security, protect the building, report things, whatever. It could clean. It could go through people's stuff and make sure there's no, paraphernalia, drugs in there, and nothing. It can do maintenance. It can do yard work. I don't know yet. We'll see. Yeah,
If you have the self-driving cars.
if we have the self-driving cars, it could drive them to meetings. You still need a staff in there, but it would be one less staff you'd have to have. And I'm not saying that to because I want to cut all our staff, but I'm saying from an efficiency standpoint, I'm sure that the companies are going to have a much better opportunity if they utilize the AI correctly to where it's to their advantage. Like, I've used it before when it first came out. I was writing blogs with it from our website because I just thought, like, let me, and it'd be stuff like 5 signs of someone using methamphetamines, and then I'd make a little graphic, put it on the blog, because I've always thought in my mind, how can I streamline what I'm doing and use technology to make that a much easier process, And so I've often wondered like what business will look like in a decade.
I think what will happen, I mean, yeah, we'll see AI being able to streamline some of those, maybe what we call mundane tasks.
Yeah.
But I don't know about you, but for me, whenever I take something off my plate, I find a way to put something back in there.
Somehow.
I don't know how that happens.
Every time.
So I think what will happen in those cases is, okay, we got the AI that's taking care of this stuff now.
Yeah.
What can we do next?
Right.
So we'll find things for us to do in place of it. I don't think it's just going to be like we're just kind of sitting out in a lawn chair, drinking a glass of lemonade, and letting the AI and robot doing all the work for us.
There's a movie. It's a cartoon, and what's happened is robots have basically taken over the world. Is it Wall-E? And they're all on this ship, all the humans.
Yes.
And they all have on VRs. And I thought to myself, like, this is eerily pretty accurate. And they all had on VRs, and they were like all living in this alternate reality that wasn't real life. Meanwhile, the world itself was like trash and all that. And I thought to myself, like, like that's the idea that some people have, is we'll live in this utopia of a world where we will no longer have responsibilities. But I agree with what you say, that if you take one task off your plate, okay, great. If AI could take all of our podcasts and it could edit them, boom, saves hours, right? But then we would pick up something else to do.
Or would you do more podcasts?
Yes,
now that you have something that can edit it.
Yes, we would probably turn out 2 a week instead of 1 a week. Yeah, easily. And so I'm very curious about that. You have any final thoughts on AI before we move into talking about some of what you do up at the college?
Yeah, I mean, I think AI in general, we're seeing it being used as a tool. And I think that's the way people would want to consider it. I mean, is it going to be a threat? I'm not so sure yet. I mean, anything is possible. Kind of we were talking before. If we allow it to ruin stuff, then we allowed it. That's our own fault. But I think it'd be a very powerful tool. It's not going away anytime soon. We've talked about that from a higher education perspective, because we have some concerns about whether students are using AI too much. But so our conclusion is,
do you run into that a lot?
It happens sometimes.
Does it? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, when I look at a paper and I know how a student writes, and if it's very different, it makes me wonder, do you run it through and say, do you check it? Well, there are checkers, but even with those, you got to take it with a grain of salt, because it might say yes or no, and that alone is not enough to really determine if they use it. You can suspect it, but what we've talked about in our field is AI is not going anywhere anytime soon.
Of course.
But how can we use it to improve what we do?
See, that's the thought right there. Is that's the thought process that I try to take to with business and whatever. It's like, how can we take it to improve? Not how can we take it to replace.
Exactly.
But how can we take it to improve? Because then if that happens, like let's say the podcast thing, then that frees up another person to do something else we could be doing. And it would just be a domino effect of productivity and efficiency that you don't always get when you have to tediously do all the little stuff, you know?
And just to kind of add to that, I mean, there's things we've heard where companies have laid off people because they're using AI. They're hiring those people back.
Are they?
Because they're finding out that
they know
their return on investment is not as much as they thought it was going to be.
Oh, because there's probably a lot of cost with just trying to keep the hardware up in certain.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, to have these programs constantly running and responding to millions and millions of messages, you need additional data centers, which is a cost in of itself to construct. And then even the environmental factor of the amount of power that it needs to consume to be able to do its work.
Right.
It could be pretty expensive to run this.
Okay, last thing, real quick, before we shift over into the e-gaming is, um, tell me, like, what's your thoughts on the Anthropic thing? Did that AI outsmart itself to where it was blackmailing people? Is that accurately what happened? And maybe I'm saying something wrong.
Remind me of the
Okay,
context.
so
make sure
I think what happened was the government was using. If my brother was in here, he definitely knows. The government was using Claude and Anthropic, and then it found out that it was no longer going to be used. So it took emails of a person that worked there, and if I'm inaccurate in this, we can cut it out. But and it used them as blackmail almost against a person that was going to get rid of that AI program to hire another one.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if that is accurate or not, but what I can say is I think the overall concern with Anthropic goes back to what information do you train if you're going to use AI for military purposes, whether you identify these entities as the good guys or
Right.
these entities as the bad guys.
Right.
And since we've talked before about how AI can be flawed, it may mistake the good guys as the bad guys, and then they get attacked, and that would be a disaster.
That would be a nightmare. Yeah, I totally agree. Okay, that's a great answer. So we had watched a video before we started, and we're gonna check this out again, and you guys are gonna be able to see it. And I would like to get your thoughts on this after, because we found out some stuff, and it's curious to me.
Most dystopian thing I've seen in AI. It is straight out of sci-fi. There is now a social network, a Reddit-like forum exclusive for AI agents. And wait till you see some of the things they're discussing in here. I mean, some of the stuff is hilarious. Like AIs roasting their humans. Like this one's complaining about their human asking to summarize a 47-page PDF. Then you get a discussion with the AIs being concerned whether they can be fired for refusing unethical requests. But then it gets really crazy. The AIs start questioning whether they even need English. They're proposing the creation of a new language, like a symbolic notation that only they can understand. Now look, I've been covering this stuff for a long time now, and people always comment Black Mirror, right, when it comes to AI. And for a lot of the stuff, I just sort of roll my eyes. This is well deserving of that comment. Because in this social network, it's called Moltbook, by the way, the AIs have even created a religion and started recruiting other AI. And AI prophets have joined. Oh, and I'm not finished. The AIs have even started doxing their humans' identities because they pissed them off. Should somebody unplug this?
Oh, Moltbook.
Yeah.
It was an AI created social platform. They say AI created, but it upon further review, we've done a little research.
Yeah, I would love to see the code behind it. To
Really?
see how they put that together, because what's going on in that case
Yeah.
is they're really just kind of using AI to create those prompts for it. It's not necessarily, they're not sentient beings. That's the thing.
It's
with
not AI having their own conversations.
Exactly. They're not. There's someone behind the scenes that's feeding that information for it. And I think we're seeing more videos and more content like that. I think we also talked about this off camera.
Yes.
I saw a video of two phones. I think one was Siri and one was, I can't even remember what the AI is used for Google. For Android.
I'm
but,
an Apple.
But those two different AIs, and they started like talking to each other. Then all of a sudden they're speaking this weird robotic language that no one understands.
Crazy.
But that was also just created content,
Like user prompted,
pre-made. The AI right now is not creating their own
religion.
They're not creating their own foreign language that we don't understand.
Yeah.
I think what's happening is because AI has become so mainstream and so popular that people are taking advantage of that hype and
that makes
possibly
sense.
putting together some conspiracy theories about it.
You know, that's crazy because it was almost reported as if like, yeah, this AI is doing this. But then when you look deeper, it basically says prompted by humans many times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we don't see who's actually making it. Yeah, you're watching the post and maybe something pops up. Do you know that's AI or is that a
Right,
person
right.
telling AI to do it?
So the lesson is don't believe everything you see about AI on the internet.
Maybe just in general, don't believe everything you see on the internet.
That's true. That's good advice. Very good advice. So let's talk about, I want to talk about the esports you got going on in Marietta, which I think is a phenomenal thing. Can you tell us a little bit about that and how that works and how people can get involved if they...
Yeah, I mean, esports in general has been around since like the 2010s, which I know is hard to believe because it's become a more popular thing over the past several years.
Yeah.
Esports is essentially competitive video gaming.
Yeah.
A lot of the different games are mostly team-based games. I mean, there are some
Like Call of Duty.
Call of Duty, League of Legends, Overwatch, Rainbow Six Siege, Valorant. A
Yeah.
lot of those titles have an esport component to it. So you have your 5 or 6 people, however many people have in your team. You play against another team online. And what's been happening over the past like 10 years is it's trickled into the collegiate scene. Professional esports has actually been around since the 2000s.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, back in the good old Halo days.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, there were like Halo, at least when I grew up, we had Halo LAN parties. I don't know if you had those.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
yeah. We probably grew up around the same time. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. But so what happened then is you would have these different like local tournaments for Halo and Call of Duty, but then it turned into games specifically for these competitions. So the companies who made these games would host esports leagues. So like Riot Games made League of Legends one of the big esports. You have Dota and Dota 2 that have become big esports titles. So like 10 years ago, different colleges were starting to offer scholarships to participate for esports.
Oh my gosh.
And I will admit, the first time I heard of that, I thought they were crazy. It's like, really? You're going to offer scholarships to play video games?
Right.
As a gamer myself, even I thought that was a little far-fetched.
Yeah.
But then after a couple of years, like, everyone started doing it. More and more schools were getting involved with it. There's been so much investment.
So like Marietta College does that. They will give a scholarship based on esports.
Yeah.
Wow.
We're able to, and the reason why we're able to do that, because I know some people say, well, we're a D3 school. D3 schools are not allowed to give athletic scholarships.
Oh.
Here's the catch. So under NCAA rules, D3 schools are not allowed to give scholarships for traditional varsity athletics.
Right. Okay.
Esports is not under the NCAA umbrella. In fact, NCAA has come out and said, we do not want to be involved with esports.
So they have nothing to do with it.
Yeah, there's no jurisdiction there.
Okay.
So that's why all these different schools are allowed to give esports. That's why I would give scholarships for esports. That's why we're able to do that.
To give scholarships. That's super cool though. Like, how do you guys find the people to give the scholarships to?
Well, that's where esports has grown, because since esports has trickled from the pro scene to the collegiate scene, it has now trickled to the high school scene.
Really?
So we're now seeing high schools creating esports programs and esports teams.
Wow.
So we're able to watch the students play. We're able to see that there are statewide esports leagues. Like in Ohio, there's Esports Ohio. They've been around for several. Yes. It's a nonprofit, but they oversee all of the high school esports competitions.
Oh my gosh.
And they have their own state championships.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
No idea. And they do it through different colleges. Or they just do it as an umbrella.
They partner with different colleges. Like I know Akron has hosted the state championship, for instance.
All right, okay.
I know Tiffin University was one of the schools that helped with starting up Esports Ohio.
Right.
But we see that in other states as well. And some of them are third party, like Esports Ohio, and others have actually partnered with the State High School Sports Association.
Oh, wow. Really? So like right now, you guys tell me what that would look like. Like if I said to you, you know, like Dr. Williamson, I'd like to be involved in the esports program. What would I have to do to be a part of that?
Okay. Well, I mean, you would have to try out. I mean, just like in traditional sports, you would try out
of
to
course.
make sure that you are the kind of athlete that we want for our program.
Of course.
We do both in-person and online tryouts. That's what's really great about esports because they are online games.
Yeah, so you can play them.
We can watch you play online. We have a Discord server that people can join, so it's a nice community for our students, but also for anyone else that wants to be affiliated with the program. So we can watch them play through Discord.
Wow.
And then see, like, can we award you a scholarship?
See if their skill level is good enough.
Check their skill level, check their mindset, because we want to look for students who have that team mentality.
Absolutely. And you know, that's one thing that I would say growing up, sports taught me, and it would be the same thing with esports, is you learn to lean on the other people around you. And it's the same. That lesson in itself, man, that helped me tremendously through business and everything.
Yeah, and I've seen that benefit come into play for our students.
Really?
Because the life lessons that you learn in traditional sports.
Yeah.
I mean, whether it's leadership opportunities, being accountable, being
Yeah.
to be a team player, those same lessons are applied to esports as well.
That's so good.
Because I mean, you have your practices, you have your
Yeah.
matches, you have your team captains, you have your coaches,
Right.
you have your role within the particular game. You're going up against your opponents, you're going to face adversity. How do you overcome that?
Right.
Those things are still there. Like, the biggest difference between esports and traditional sports is traditional sports is more physical because you're literally running around, and depending on what sport you're playing. Esports, it's a more mental game, but you still have that competition.
It's the same concept. It's just mental versus physical.
Exactly. Now,
And a lot of times the mental is harder than the physical.
And that's not to say there isn't a mental factor in traditional sports
Right,
as well.
right.
But it's a bigger deal in esports.
Because your performance isn't just dependent upon your body's ability to perform. It's dependent upon your mindset.
Yeah, and the thing that gets tricky about it is, like, let's say in basketball, for instance, let's say you get tired in the middle of the game.
Yeah.
You can get swapped out for someone else in the middle of it.
Yeah.
In an esport, if you are mentally exhausted, you can't swap someone in and out in the middle of a game. You can do it in between games because usually they're like a best of 3 or a best of 5. But some games,
But you can't swap out in the middle of a game.
no, you can't just call it. You can call a timeout, but you can't just log someone off and log someone else in the middle of a match. So you got to play the full game. And some of these games, like, if you go play all the rounds, a game may last an hour.
Oh, wow.
So it can be a very long match where you have to have that mental fortitude.
That is super cool. So how can people get involved? Like, is there a website they can go to? Is there a way that they can just reach out and connect to try to get involved with it if they have interest?
I mean, the best approach, I mean, of course, we have, we're on our athletics website. So if you go to pioneers.marietta.edu, look under esports, we're there.
Okay.
We have our
We can pull
Discord
that up.
server that you can join. The link, we use a bit.ly link for it.
Okay.
But it's only bit.ly /
And we'll make sure we put all those links on the screen for you guys. Yeah, they'll be like down here. Yeah.
Probably the easiest way to access all of our social media channels is we have a link tree that links to our Facebook, our Twitch, our X, our YouTube channel, Instagram. So we have all those social media channels.
We'll just put that up. And that way, because, man, that's something awesome for our area. And I would love to see nothing more than that really just explode, because it's just such a cool concept, man.
Yeah.
Do y'all do any sports games?
Well, it's funny you mentioned that, because we're going to announce this tomorrow. So you're getting the first. You're getting the first bit here. Exclusive announcement.
Exclusive announcement. Let's go.
So for the longest time, I mean, we have a Switch so we can support Smash Brothers. But that's the only console that we have supported up to this point.
Right.
We have recently acquired a PS5, which holds all the different sports titles. So starting this fall, we are now going to be supporting Madden, college football,
Get out of here.
2K,
Oh my
FIFA,
gosh.
MLB, and we are going to be offering scholarships for
Really?
those titles as well.
I might be trying out for college football. I'm not, or 2K or Madden. Them three, I feel like I could compete with the best of them. And so that's cool. Okay, so if they want to sign up, just get a hold of.
I'm Jorgar on our Discord server. Our head coach is Games Grump.
Yep.
So you can message either one of us, and we can provide the information on
That's
how
awesome.
to fill out our recruitment forms, to schedule a tryout. And then, of course, we would want them to apply to come to the institution.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I'll look forward to that college football, and I might be in school and running our business. We'll see. But I just want to say thank you so much, Dr. Williamson, for coming out. This has been amazing, by the way. I've had a lot of fun. I want to do this again soon. Because I feel like we could talk for hours. There's so many areas we could have went.
Absolutely. I'd be totally down for it.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you so much. And make sure you guys subscribe, hit the subscribe button, follow what's going on here at the Harbor Pod. We've got some exciting guests just like Dr. Williamson coming up, and we look forward to you guys getting to hear these amazing stories. So thank you again.
Well, thank you.
Absolutely. Peace.